Okay. Is it ready, Steve?
No, not ready yet.
Okay.
I'll get to you when it's ready. Takes a few
Alrighty.
minutes. Takes a minute or two here. Are we up?
Yeah. Is everybody?
It says live on YouTube.
Right, but it has to link up. Just let me double check here. Are we good? Okay. Okay, you're good to start the meeting.
Okay. We're going to start the Board of Education meeting, but I need to make a statement. In light of the state restrictions regarding social distancing due to COVID-19, the board finds it necessary to conduct its meeting via video conferencing. In order for the board action to be valid, it is necessary that board policy BD will be waived to allow participants to vote and be counted by means of video conference beginning with the April 2020 school board meeting through the coronavirus closure. Another thing that I'd like to state, I'd like to say a big thank you to the Lancaster City Schools teachers, support staff, administrators, students, parents, grandparents, and all who have made the distance learning possible in these uncertain times. To the class of 2020, thank you for staying on schedule academically for graduation. Your class will definitely go down as the most memorable in LHS history. At this point in time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mrs. Taylor, roll call, please.
Miss Iman?
Yes.
Miss Garlinger?
Yes.
Miss Kittredge?
Yes.
Mr. Nauman?
Yes.
Miss Ricketts?
Yes. This is the regular board meeting of the Board of Education for the Lancaster City School District, held remotely via Zoom on Tuesday, April 28th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. At this time, I'm going to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you'd like to join along, please do so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
Republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
Indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Normally, we would have students reciting that with us. Okay, next on the agenda is the approval of the April 2020, it's approval of the April 28th regular board meeting. No, it should be the March. Yes.
20.
Yes, there's a typo. Yeah, there's a typo on my papers. Okay, March 24th, is it? Yes. Board minutes, and may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mrs. Garlinger, may I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Nauman,
Yes.
will you take the second?
Are you waiting on me?
That's okay.
I will second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, Mrs. Taylor.
Miss Garlinger?
Yes.
Mr. Nauman?
Yes.
Miss Iman?
Yes.
Miss Kittredge?
Yes.
Miss Ricketts?
Yes, and the motion carries. The next is the adoption of today's agenda. I need a motion to approve the April 28th regular board meeting agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you, Ms. Kittredge. May I have a second, please?
Second,
Is that Mrs. Iman?
Hyman. Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call, Mrs. Taylor?
Ms. Kittredge,
Yes.
Ms. Iman,
Yes.
Ms. Garlinger,
Yes.
Mr. Nauman,
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts.
Yes, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the legislative update, and Mrs. Garlinger, do you have an update for us?
I do. As we are aware, Governor DeWine has issued an order to continue distance learning through the end of the school year. He has been working closely with the superintendents and educators across the state to understand the impacts of educating students at a distance and weighing the risks associated with COVID-19 and the potential spread among students and then further home to their families. In response to the governor's orders, the Ohio Department of Education has released resources for families adjusting to distance learning. ODE has also released guidance regarding graduation and year-end recognition ceremonies and provided new information to help districts with instructional hours and attendance, English learners, telehealth options, and auxiliary services. Additionally, most state testing requirements have been waived for the spring 2020 testing window. Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Husted, and Health Director Dr. Acton continue to follow the science and involve stakeholders and community groups as they make decisions concerning the response to COVID-19. School districts across the state are evaluating options for educating students should the health crisis continue through the summer and into the start of next school year. Updates regarding Ohio's response to COVID-19 can be found online at coronavirus.ohio.gov. Updates, guidance, and resources from the Ohio Department of Education are available online at education.ohio.gov. And the Ohio legislature has been focused on issues related to the pandemic and have not taken action on issues surrounding education since our last meeting. And as always, updates on legislative activity can be found online at legislature.ohio.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Garlinger. There's a lot going on, and I'm sure once the legislature gets back to some sort of assembly, we'll find out more about what's going to be going on for the future in our school district. Next on the agenda is communications, and we have the building and planning and construction process, and Mr. Jerry Rainey, Director of Business, will give us the update. Okay.
Oh, Jerry.
Jerry.
Jerry, you have the screen. Are you able to show?
All right.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. How is everybody?
Good.
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 Good. This is a little odd. This is a little different. So, building planning process for Sherman, General Sherman. We're doing well. Actually, the due date for Sherman is the end of July, and they're thinking that that is going to be probably the end of June.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that is great news. The only people that we have, any contractor that we have any issue, not really any issue with, but is not back on site, is the painters. So everyone else has been on site and has kept going. The painters are to return Monday. So
Great.
Good.
that will help as well. So what you're looking at here on the screen is the tech room, which has the flooring down and all the wires are running. And I have to say, I am so impressed with Spectrum right now because Spectrum is actually in the building. We don't have anything to hook up to yet, but that's not usually, that's one that we're usually waiting on. So That's good news. The roll-up doors for the kitchen have been installed and ready to go, and are working properly, which is always a good thing for those. And then this is one of the science room, or this is actually the life skills room. And you can see they're putting in the cabinetry and getting ready to put the desktop or the cooktops in and getting the venting going in there. Yep, wrong way. Hang with me. All right.
Ooh, the flooring.
Or,
Rubber flooring is going down. And essentially, this was taken a week or so ago. And I just got an update from Creston that the rubber flooring is done in A1, A2, and C. So the music
Wow.
area and the stage stuff still needs to be put down, but the rest of the education area is complete,
Nice.
as well as the tile in all the bathrooms and all that's complete as well. They're currently working in the kitchen. They're grinding the floor because that gets a special kind of floor in there for the kitchen area. So they just started grinding today, so we'll see some process on that tomorrow and the end of the week. Let me see what else I have a picture of. So the doors are on, and the locks are going in. So we're going to be able to clean up these rooms and lock up the areas as we go. The whiteboards are up. The tack boards are up. Ceilings put in. Everything's good there. Flooring's down. You know, if I could just run my computer, it'd be so much better. Another whiteboard and tack board is up, different room. And the clouds in the media center.
oh, yeah.
Nice.
It could be surfboards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. I did not pick these out, by the way. I just want
I know. I don't know if anybody did. I didn't lay claim to them.
Yeah, well, neither did I. So that's kind of it for the pictures, but I do have a couple other things. The AC will be turned on Friday, so they'll be getting that up and running, and the heat is already going, so that's good. The area B, the locker room, the stage area, and A1, A2, and C have all been inspected above ceiling and passed. So that's moving. So we can drop ceiling tile and all the educational areas is already have the drop tile in. And then all the access points have been installed, and except for in the music area. So they're still working in that area. And I already told you the good news about Spectrum. So that's about it for me. Any questions I can answer?
I've got a question about the old Thomas Ewing. Have you found out if that's going to come get demolished? Back on schedule?
Yeah, so we heard some good news about it, that it looked like we were going to be able to go ahead and start demolishing. Then we never heard any more news about it. So that's a big question for tomorrow at our meeting. But the contractor is there doing soft demo right now. So he wanted to make sure he got all because he bid it thinking that he get so much copper out of it and that kind of stuff. So he didn't want the copper to go to waste and have someone else come in and take it. So he's turned off the water, turned off the electric. He's pulling all the wires and the copper lines and anything that he can recycle and get out of there, he's doing currently. So it's not a total standstill, but actual bringing in of equipment and knocking it down. We're hoping to hear a little more about that tomorrow.
Okay.
Mr.
Ray,
Go ahead.
I have a question about some of the colored glass there in Ewing.
Yes.
Is any of it able to be taken out and sold? I've got several people who've contacted me about wanting some pieces.
Right. So the colored glass is actually in an asbestos glazing. So we couldn't just take the windows out because of that. So
Okay.
Mrs. Ricketts has hooked us up with the Ohio Glass Museum folks, and they're going to come out and actually cut the windows out and leave the bad part behind.
Yep.
And then the goal is to create something, and maybe Lisa, you'd like to talk about that more than me, but create something that could go in the new Thomas Ewing using that glass.
Yeah, in the vaulted areas, Craig Miller, who's a stained glass artist, he and I are going to try to create something that would be suspended from those vaulted areas, kind of making a mobile or an installation that would be dangling from those areas. I had the superintendent, when we first thought about this, they have hooks there that would be able to support, and they put those in both Ewing and Sherman. I'm not sure if Sherman would want Ewing glass, but we'll go from there. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Jerry? Any other questions, board members, for Jerry?
Nope.
Okay, then we'll move right along and we'll go to the board standing committees. And we only had one board standing committee, and that was the policy committee, and that was held Thursday, April 16th. The discussion items, the following policies, regulations were discussed and approved as presented. Executive sessions, minutes, purchasing procedures, staff conduct, staff-student relations, career advising, graduation requirements, graduation plans, and student at risk of not qualifying for a high school diploma, the new policy, student absences and excuses, student attendance accounting, missing and absent children. The above policies, regulations will be approved today at our board meeting for approval, and the next policy meeting will be held Monday, June 15th at we normally meet at 3. Well, we met at 3 o'clock, so time will be determined. Anybody have any questions about the policies? If not, we'll move on. Let's see. Gotta turn this. Okay, next we're going to go to. Okay, get my papers right here. The treasurer's report, Julie.
Alrighty, well, I don't think our next guest needs any introduction. He's visited us quite a bit in 2020. We have David Conley here with Rock Mill Financial to give an update on the bond issue earlier this month.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Well, this is my first Zoom meeting ever, and I can't tell you how excited I am about it. So bear with me. Steve gave me a tutorial over the weekend on how to operate. So let's see if I can make this work. This will stop others. All right, so let's see here. Bear with me because I'm not able to talk and navigate.
There.
There you go.
Can you see the
There we
screen?
go.
Yes.
Oh, did I take my dating app down? Can you see? Well, believe it or not, we finally made it through to conclusion on the bond issue for the high school. So I wanted to take the opportunity to go back through the process. As you all know, I like to give you kind of a sort of a document that has everything in it about the transaction. So I'll move through this as fairly quickly as possible. The first page is the summary of all the financing team participants. So Rockville was involved as the municipal advisor. Bricker was your bond counsel. PNC underwrote the bond issue. Their legal counsel was Locke Lord out of Cincinnati. And S&P was our rating agency. And then we are using that should be, that's a typo. That should just be the Park National Bank. Zion is not the paying agent. That should come out of there. My apologies. So Park National, Fairfield National is the paying agent on the bond issue. As by way of background, this is the bond issue that was approved by voters back in May of 2019, which seems like a lifetime ago for some strange reason. But as a reminder, they approved $66,125,000 for a maximum 37-year term with an estimated 3.7 mils, and it passed by an incredible 61% of the voters. At that point in time, when we were planning to be on the ballot, you might recall interest rates were actually going up, not down. So we used an interest rate that would give us some comfort in the event that rates had continued to move up. So we used 5.25% as the rate to base the ballot millage upon. The purpose for the transaction is there. Now, this is right out of the legal documentation, so you'll note that it doesn't specifically state the high school. And that's to, again, provide flexibility as you go forward if there happens to be a need for a change. So it's pretty generic, but I wanted to make sure that's in there for you as well. So we move to the next page. The 2020 bonds were rated by S&P. We went with a AA- rating. We handled that rating call with them pretty expeditiously because we made kind of a quick decision to try to get in the market and capture some advantages that we had. As usual, your team did a great job in explaining what's happening with the school district. And quite honestly, in the future, I think the district, as the community continues to improve from an economic perspective and a demographic perspective, would likely look at a possibly higher rating. But every possible category that the district can be measured on from a management perspective, both from a board management perspective and from the administrative management perspective, we score very, very high marks. The areas that keep us in the AA- category are really tied to our per capita income and sort of the local wealth indicators, which are things that we can't directly influence. But outside of that, the district is a very high performing district. And I hope one day that we'll see us in the AA category without a modifier. The bonds were sold with a final maturity of 2050. And then I'll go into that a little bit later, but that in and of itself is pretty important for the board and the community to know about. We did sell these bonds as taxable bonds, and you will recall from previous meetings, we were evaluating the pros and cons of being able to lock interest rates in now, but have enough time where we could spend the money down over a slightly longer period of time based on the delay with state funding. So we made the decision to proceed with a taxable transaction, which means that you can take as much time as you need to spend the money down while at the same time locking in, really good interest rates. So that was sort of the game plan. And now you can move forward with the planning for the high school project. So the next page is a graph that I put together to try to show you some of the really good things that happen. The bonds were sold, believe it or not, with just a 30-year term. So the red line at the top of the graph would represent the payments, if you will, that the taxpayers basically said, we will allow you to tax us along this time span in the amount of what that red line would represent. Instead, where we've ended up is that we didn't collect taxes in 2020. So that first bar that would have been yellow, which is just depicted by the white background, we didn't collect taxes there. And then if you notice all the way over to the right side, we actually will stop collecting taxes 6 years sooner than what the voters approved. So we ended up with a 30-year bond issue and saving taxpayers 7 years of interest collections for the bond issue. And that was a sole result of the fact that interest rates were substantially lower than we expected them to be. So this in and of itself is a pretty good story. On the next page, turn that data into actual numbers. So you'll see on the bullets there that we took a 37-year issue, turned it into a 30-year term. The bonds will be dated April 22nd. The last payment will be October 1 of 2050. We had a total overall interest rate of 3.66%. And again, remember, this was a taxable bond issue. So to be at a 3.66% with a taxable bond is extraordinary.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we were one of only two bonds. I'll go into this in a minute, but as you know, this market turned totally insane when the virus spread in the United States. So there were no bonds being sold. We were the very first significant bond issue in Ohio to get done. if you would call it, we had a very brief window where the market was comfortable enough buying a bond issue, but we were able to get it done. The difference in the interest rate between what the voters basically said we could charge them in taxes up to and where we ended up is $41 million less than what the ballot would have allowed us to collect.
Wow. Wow.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And we were actually a little better than that before the virus spread on us, but we still were able, Julie and I, we've really gotten to know each other very well, haven't we, Julie? We have spent many, many nights, during the shut-in process, trying to decide, should we do this? Should we wait? Should we do this? Should we wait? Should we do this? Should we wait? And we basically ended up saying, we are so far ahead of the curve in terms of the value to the taxpayers. It was hard not to go ahead and get this done. And so we got it done, but it wasn't easy. The day that we got in the market, on the next page, taxable bond issues take 2 days to sell as opposed to a tax exempt issue. The market was really weird. One day things, the stock market was doing terrible, and the next day it was doing great, and so back and forth. So the highlights from April 6th and 7th was basically that the stock market started to do a little bit better, giving some investors confidence. The governor of New York started talking about the deaths starting to plateau, and then as a result, it pushed the Treasury yields, which we sold our bonds based on. The interest rates for Treasury started to go up again because everybody started feeling good. Because if you remember, bad news is bad for interest rates and good news is bad for interest rates. So on the day that we wanted to go out, interest rates started to move away from us. But the fact is that it moved away, but we were, 0.75% was the rate for the 10-year Treasury, which was still outstanding. And we were able to get the bonds done. So the next page basically shows the trend line of the 10-year Treasury over the last year. We got in the market just about at the low point. I mean, there was a couple of low points before we got in the marketplace, but it was still, from a big picture perspective, a good time, considering it was really hard to get investors to actually want to buy bonds. And so the next page, I'm not sure how many of you had a chance to watch the orders come in on the day that we did the bond sale.
No.
But it took a while to get all the orders in. So this this graph shows that we had what we call 2 times subscribed for basically the bonds. And in your case, when we sell bonds, we usually get anywhere from 3 to 4 times the orders that we have for the number of bonds that we sell. This time we only had, 1 order and 1 cover order, if you want to consider it that way. So that means if the 1 order would have dropped, you had 1 as a backup order for us. Not all of the bonds were sold. There were some bonds that were unsold, and PNC Bank underwrote those bonds, meaning they bought the bonds themselves, and they were at risk at that point for the market changing. But it was a bit of an interesting day. We started out with, Julie reminded me, was it a 37-year term that we started out with?
Yes.
Yeah, so we did start out with a 37-year term, but based on the way the deal came together, we needed to get some. We weren't getting any orders at all on the long end, and we decided let's see if it's possible to shorten the issue up and bring some of the bonds from year 31 through year 37 and bring those bonds in and sprinkle them across the other maturities. And we were able to do that, stay under the millage constraints that we had, and get investors to buy all those bonds. So it came together and worked out really, really well.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was some moments though.
I'm sure. Aren't there always?
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just tickled that we had it pulled together. The next page shows the investors that purchased your bonds. And number 5 on that list is Julie Taylor
got me.
Advisors.
Are paying her too much.
I wish I knew somebody that had that kind of money.
Oh, wow.
I was teasing with her. I said, Julie, you never told me you had that kind of money laying around.
And I don't.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but you'll see, I mean, we really just a couple of firms, but Performance Trust, Vining Sparks. Vining Sparks is a money manager. They invest money on behalf of other entities.
Right.
So we only had like 3 major players, and then the rest of the orders were fairly thin going out. So
Yeah.
it was no, again, considering we're selling $66 million in bonds. So it wasn't necessarily a slam dunk, because if we had lost Performance Trust or Vining, we wouldn't have had enough orders to get the deal done.
Is
Yeah.
FNB Fairfield National Bank?
I believe it is.
Okay, and then we have Standing Stone number 18. So
Yep.
we had some local.
It's a virtual bank.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what, even though West Banco is out of West Wheeling, they've got a pretty big presence in this part of the state.
Mhm.
So I would, to a degree, kind of consider them local. And then the city of Toledo jumped in.
Wow.
To pick
Yeah.
up a few bonds. So, all in all, I mean, my philosophy is, if we can, we technically got just enough orders to get this deal done. And I don't think we, Julie, I don't think we did much repricing at all, did we?
No, other than just filling in those shorter maturities, I think that was about it.
Yeah. So, but the best part is that we got it, we were able to get it done. The conclusions on this, the most important thing is that you all as a board and as a team of administrators do a wonderful job, and the community sees that. And it's evidenced by the fact that they continue to support you for your bond issues and your operating levies. And I can just say, as an independent party that works with a lot of school districts, you all do a fabulous job there. I mean, just a fabulous job. And I will hope the community either hears my words or somehow can find out about this, because you continually do all the right things. You make great decisions. You put them first, put the children first, and it always turns out really well. So all I can say is the outcome was incredible. We saved $41 million in interest over what we were expecting to pay, which is nice. And now Jerry can take on the next project.
Yeah.
Jerry and Steve, you guys thought you might get a break. Too bad. Back to work. So with that, before I take questions, I do want to thank you all again for allowing me to work with the district for all these years. I've really appreciated it, and I enjoy working with you. And don't ever hesitate to ask for any favors at all. I'll be more than happy to help out. So with that, any last questions?
I have a question. When do the taxpayers start getting taxed on our money?
In 2021.
2021. So, okay. So that's next year.
Right. Yep. That will start January of next year.
Okay.
Yeah. And we did take a really good look at the ability, pushing that back a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't call it a challenge, but every time we pushed it back a year, I think it added an extra $5 million in interest expense.
Yeah.
And so we really talked about, is it because we understand that some people are, unemployed, and the challenges of trying to make those tax payments. And then the flip side of it is, every time you push it back a year, we're adding an extra $5 million to interest. Right. Just trying to find the happy medium there. It's such an expensive proposition that it was better to just try to go ahead and get it, done in 21, with the understanding that we could have collected taxes this year, but we didn't. So there was
Right,
a
right.
tax reprieve for this year.
Yep.
But yeah, unfortunately, there was really no easy way to do it without adding a pretty big expense to the picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
Okay, my pleasure. You all take care.
Okay.
You
You too.
Thank you. Good job on your first Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, well, watch me try to get out of here now. Okay, well, bye-bye.
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 Okay, next up is the superintendent's report, and Mr. Wigton, it's your baby now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, President Ricketts. We do have two building reports for you this evening. And our first report is going to come from Mr. Poston, principal at Thomas Ewing Junior High. Take it away, Mr. Poston. Mr. Poston, are you out there?
Gonna have to unmute him.
All right, hang on. Let me see if I can find him.
He's gone missing.
Where are you, Mr. Poston?
He's muted. He's
I'm
muted.
right here. I'm right here.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
guys?
There he is.
There he
Okay,
is.
buddy.
I'm
You
waiting
ready
for
to share
it.
your screen?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to load up. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Should be sharing right now. I'll go ahead and get going as it's coming up here. Good evening, Madam President Ricketts, Mr. Wigton, board members and directors. First off, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for the support with what I felt was a seamless transition to the new Thomas Ewing in January. We had a practice morning drop-off, a 2-hour orientation, and a practice pickup. Your support was and is greatly appreciated. I would also like to thank publicly our staff, students, and parents for their help with the move as well. Not everybody gets to have 2 opening first days in a school year. It is definitely something that the Lancaster community should be proud of. Not only with the mid-year move, but with the coronavirus, it's been an interesting year here at Thomas Ewing. So in my presentation tonight, it's still loading, sorry about that. In my presentation tonight, you will see the building in action with quotes from the Thomas Ewing staff. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Jerry's presentation and show it to you more live with people, students, staff in action. So once again, I am just waiting for this to share. You gotta love technology and sometimes not love technology.
So while we're waiting on this to load, I just got to say that, Mr. Poston and his staff just did a fantastic job of transitioning into Thomas Ewing. It certainly wasn't an easy thing to do, but Steve and his staff were on everything, asked the right questions, did a lot of work up front to make this all happen. So congratulations to Mr. Poston, and I think we're ready to go.
Yes, we are. Thank you, Mr. Wigton. I know Mr. Wigton and Mr. Rainey probably got tired of me there for a while, but I wanted to make this as seamless and smooth as possible for not only our staff, but our students and our parents. So I truly appreciate all you guys' support. First up, a quote we had in the art, which kind of fits not only with the move, but also with the situation we are currently. The secret of change is the focus of all your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So here you can see a picture of the old Thomas Ewing and a beautiful picture of the new Thomas Ewing there at the bottom. Every day is a new adventure as we learn all the modern benefits of this amazing building. Every day we discover something new that can benefit Thomas Ewing staff and students. Lancaster finally has a first-class building and athletic facilities. And thank you, Lancaster. And my challenge from here, is thanks to all the previous students, parents, and staff for setting expectations of being a senator for the past 62 years. The challenge is to do the next same for the new Thomas Ewing. Here you're seeing a view of our 7th grade hallway. As you can tell, our hallways are a lot bigger than the old building. So a quote from the staff, hallways are not only wider and easier to maneuver through, but also aesthetically appealing. It's exciting to work in a beautiful state-of-the-art building. So again, you can just see how much wider the lockers are, half lockers instead of full lockers. So great. Here you go. You got a picture of the cafeteria and the auditorium. As I say, it's a cafeterium by day, auditorium by night. Quote, this cafeteria size is amazing, allows students more room during lunch and study hall so they don't feel like they're on top of one another. And it's just, it's a lot quieter in the cafeteria. It doesn't seem like you have 200 students in there. It seems like 50 with the room and the ceilings and just how big it is in the cafeteria. Here you see one of our outdoor in the hallway, one of our learning centers. The flexibility of seating arrangements is to better serve our students at their ability levels. The opportunity to allow students to show their skills using the new Nova board. Not only do the staff love the new Nova boards, the students absolutely love going to the boards and working in the classrooms. And again, it's something that they all have in their hands on a daily basis.
Good.
Picture of our band room. As you can see, a lot bigger. From our band teachers, it is great to have a facility that is so conducive for setups for concerts. It's also great to not be so cramped all the time with our practices. If you've been to the new building, all they have to do now is they move 2 movable walls and scoot the band equipment up for a concert. So that's a nice addition to the building as well. Choir room. Choir students and I are excited about the recording capabilities from the hanging microphones and sound system in the room. The wearable microphones are great for vocal demonstration and the health of my voice as a vocal teacher. It has been refreshing and renewing time for all of our students and staff. I'd like to point out, we have a lot of staff members who use that microphone in their classroom. And we had an educational visitor over this past year by the name of Mel Riddle. And he says the #1 technological instrument used in a classroom to help with engagement and class achievement is, believe it or not, classroom microphone, because all the students can hear you. So it's nice that a lot of our staff use that. They use it for different things, to pass around the students as they answer questions. So I was a little hesitant at first who would be using it, but we have majority of our staff using that instrument. So a very nice addition. The media center is gorgeous. It has more of a teenage vibe to it, very relaxing, open, inviting. I've seen staff come in and just sit and enjoy the atmosphere. I come to work excited to be in such a beautiful building. So again, as you look, it's just so refreshing as you see as we go through this PowerPoint. Here you have a picture of a classroom. One of the teacher's quotes was, "The extra room creates an environment where students can take their learning to a new level. Students have flexible seating options inside and outside the classroom. This is the place to be for learning, caring, and succeeding." When we moved in, not one teacher had rows in their classroom. They were all either paired up or in groups with flexible seating. However, it may change here in the future with everything that we're dealing with right now, but we'll cross those paths as we have to in the coming months. The art room. I know Lisa's jealous.
Yeah.
But the art rooms are unbelievable. I was just in the art room today, and every time I walk in, I shake my head and just look at how exciting it is, how I would be excited as an art student walking into this art room. High ceilings and proper ventilation will give students a better breathing environment when working with clay and plaster sculpting. Access to our sinks and having 4 of them will allow our students more time working on projects than waiting to be able to clean up after assignments. Higher tables will give the students the opportunity to stand while they work, allowing them to select their working environment. So absolutely gorgeous art rooms as well. Wow, that's the first thing I always go in our gym is just wow. You're looking at our gym; it's about 2,000 square feet bigger than the old gym. Little fact: when we moved into the new gym, both of our girls' teams were undefeated in the new gym from January on. So
Nice.
that was very exciting at home games. It was also exciting to have other teams walk in. Parents, you puff your chest out and you brag. I was giving tours before games to opponents all the time, just showing them how impressive our building is. And to be honest, just the bragging. I mean, just having that opportunity to brag. The gymnasium brings our students, coaches, and parents a facility they can be proud of. The new gym is amazing. Our coach put, I am proud to coach there, and our kids are proud to play there. So again, just look, that also gives us the opportunity, if we have to, with some of our classes coming through, is we can put the curtain down and have 2 classes in there if need be. Here you are, you see our science rooms, absolutely amazing, gorgeous science rooms. The new science classrooms look like college labs, and students feel like scientists in these rooms. The abundance of storage makes it easier to organize and locate science materials, and the new technology helps facilitate even more student engagement. The temperature controlled rooms are also a big plus. So you can see our classrooms there, our science rooms, lots of storage. And I did put a picture of the microphone because not only can they have the microphone, they can also wear one as like a lapel, and it works out as well. And if we have 2 teachers in a room, they both can have access to that as well. Or one teacher can use it and the other one can be passed around the room. So once again, probably one of the most powerful tools in a classroom. What you're looking at here in this slide is you're looking at our future home to our Project Lead the Way design and modeling class. That will be a new elective for our 7th graders. So this is also very exciting opportunity for us in the coming year. Here you get a look at our future home to our family consumer science class. This is a class we'll have for 3 periods for first semester. That person will be shared with the high school, and then second semester they will go to General Sherman. But once again, I used this the week before, or 2 weeks before we got out before breakfast. We cooked pancakes for the staff before school. So it's just a nice thing, not only that I had the opportunity to use for that, but this is going to be a great space this year for our students in family consumer science. And it's nice to be bringing that back to the junior highs as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Here you see a picture of the office. How inviting is that to walk into the office? The open space, serene lighting, and beautiful furniture all contribute to a welcoming front office environment to parents, visitors, and students alike. Just to point out, big thing, and I want to, just publicly, our safety. They can come into the front door, but they have to buzz into the office. They cannot go into the door that leads into the building. So all visitors do have to come through the office, and we do have to buzz them into the building. So that's a huge safety thing that's been addressed with the new building as well. Our clinic, as you can see, the clinic is very nice. The nice thing about the clinic is the clinic has a door that leads directly into the clinic. So that also takes out some of that transportation that's coming through the office. The size of the clinic allows me to accommodate and take care of more students without disrupting the office. It is so clean and inviting. You can't see, but the clinic does have its own bathroom, and it does, as you can see, does give students privacy, as we have 2 beds in there. So again, we have a refrigerator in there, sink, file cabinets. Again, when the design team went through this, they did it the right way. Athletic fields. These pictures do not do justice. I've been tweeting out pictures. Our softball and baseball fields look absolutely amazing right now. I walked out there again today with Mr. Hale. Anybody comes over, the first thing I want to do is take them down to show them these. I mean, we went from having, due to our location, we went from having to share fields with the varsity, the high school. So now we have our own softball, our own baseball, our own football field, and a 6-lane track, which hypothetically we could probably get away with maybe a dual meet, which would be awesome. But I'm telling you, you walk out back, I will put these athletic facilities up with any junior high in the Central Ohio.
Is the track, has the track been fixed?
Not yet, Lise, Ms. Ricketts, but Jerry did tell me yesterday, because again, he showed up yesterday. So I said, hey, let's go check out the baseball, softball fields. But he has seen that it's been marked off, so they're getting ready for that probably soon. That Jerry would have probably a better answer, but that's what our conversation was yesterday.
Yeah, every time I drive past, I do a rubberneck looking over my shoulder to see how the softball field looks wonderful.
Yeah. And the baseball field's right up there. So,
Yeah.
you know, huge props to Brian Young and his business for that. And, you know, again, I've seen some people out, you know, some people park and walk around the track too. So
Oh, that's
something
good.
it's something that's going to be used. Our next slide is what you'll see is what our PBIS is for around the building. Thomas Ewing, own your 20 square feet. We're big into E+R=O. Even in situations like this, we do have an event. You can only control your response. Our big thing is be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. And at the bottom, every day we do a 5-minute bell ringer. It's called GALES. It's get started, active engagement, learning, evaluate, and summary. So that's in every classroom as well. And as you can see, that all start with the GALES, which is GALES.
Mm-hmm.
Our PBIS initiatives, the first picture upper left, you will see that we are passing out popcorn. We were able to bring down Mrs. Reiber from the high school, which has been a great addition to our school counselor. And she brought down, we do popcorn once a month with our students who received a positive referral from a staff member. And also in return, the students write a thank you back to the staff. And some of our staff members hang those outside their classrooms. I kind of say it's like a Buckeye in the Buckeye helmet when they do a good play. You know, our teachers show that off in the hallway when they get positive back from the students as well. So that's been a very nice addition to our building this year. In the lower left, we have our students, our weekly students, Hard Hat Friday winners. It's talking about own your 20 square feet. And we also recognize a staff member. And that month was Miss Barber with 3 of our students. And in the lower right, you will see our students of the month, where we recognize roughly 21 students, 7 from each grade level, for doing a great job for the month. ABRE Honor Roll celebration. We usually recognize about 350 students. Parents show up. A lot of compliments because we're not. They have tons of parking out back, so that's been a nice thing there. So you can see the gym is absolutely amazing. The students in the morning, just to point out, they go into the gym. Our 6th graders will, they sit on the floor, but not for very long. 7th and 8th graders sit in the bleachers. The cafeteria is used for breakfast. And again, they're not in there very long. The bell rings and then we head to first period, homeroom. Here's a little social that we did. We raised, it was $1 to get out of class. We had every student in the building in this social. It was a hot chocolate social. We raised over $827 for the American Heart Association. So we are very proud of that. Not too many spills for junior high students. Had a couple, but not too many, but they did a nice job with that. Some things we're also doing in the building: mindfulness and restorative practices. Mindfulness on Mondays, we do what we call Mindful Mondays, and the teachers along with the students go through a 10-minute activity to get their mind right. You know, after a long weekend, they do that first thing Monday morning to get their mind right. We also have had some youth yoga up in the upper left on Thursday. The youth yoga project comes in. We had about 35 students participate in youth yoga. And in the bottom picture, what you'll see is we call that Circle Up Friday. What we do is all the kids get in a circle in different classrooms, in their own classrooms. And we ask 3 questions. And usually the last one is, what's your goal for the day, so that we can hold our kids. And that's pretty powerful because kids do like to share to each other throughout the year. So those are just some things we're trying to, keep building relationships, not among just the staff and the students, but with the students as well. We were focused on Channel 6 News. I showed up the first day back from winter break and the news was in the parking lot. And they wanted to welcome us back. And we were on Fairfield today with Paul Jasone, and I had 2 of our students, Mackenzie Metz, and I just went blank. Mr. Goss, Xavier Goss, who did a fantastic job, 2 8th graders, talking to Mr. Jasone about what the great things going on in the building. Took him a tour of the building, and just another way to show off the great building that we have here at Thomas Ewing. And it was General Sherman, because they are two the same. Just a couple things to point out. Our 7th grade basketball team, this doesn't happen with every basketball team, but they won their last game of the year to finish 3rd in the 7th grade Newark basketball tournament. So that was good for them. And our 7th grade girls basketball team finished 17-2.
Wow.
And won the 7th grade New Albany tournament. So some good things going on the horizons with our athletics. So once again, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to show off this building that our community deserve and should be very proud of. And for those viewers out there that may be watching, what you just saw will be the exact same thing you see at General Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is there any questions? I just want to thank you guys. This is my 12th year at Thomas Ewing, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity. Former student, alum, just I couldn't ask for a better spot to be.
Thank you for all that you do to make it happen too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Poston. It's always nothing better than hearing from the actual staff that use the building,
Mhm.
how beneficial that is. And I just want to remind everybody that it's not the building that's most important; it's the people that are in it. And we have an outstanding staff at Thomas Ewing, and now we have a great building to match a great staff. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Wigton, and the voters and the board.
right, yep, definitely the place to be. Okay, next on the agenda is this is a little bittersweet because this is Dustin Knight, and he's going to give the Tarhee Trails presentation, as you know. After what, 17 years, Dustin?
Yeah, 17 Tarhee and Tarhee Trails.
Yeah, 17 years in administration. He's decided to make a career change and go back into the classroom. So we still have him, and students are going to benefit greatly. But we're going to be losing our dean of elementary principals, dean of principals. Actually, he's had the longest tenure of any of.
Mm-hmm.
And you all know he's done a fantastic job at Tarhee Trails, and great buildings have great leadership, and certainly Tarhee and Tarhee Trails have benefited from Mr. Knight.
Mm-hmm.
With that, take it away.
Right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Wigton, Madam President, board members, directors. I'd like to I want to thank Mr. Wigton for his support and the board for their support. I'm going to get this out at the beginning before it gets too hard for me to say, because it is bittersweet. This was a tough decision that my family and I came to terms with, that needed to kind of refocus, recalibrate what I was doing in my career. And it was a decision, and like Mr. Wigton gave me advice many years ago, well, several years ago, do my best and try to put my family first. So that's what I'm doing right now. Although it's bittersweet, I'm going to miss Tarhee and Tarhee Trails. I'm really looking forward to working at the brand new Thomas Ewing. And what's ironic is probably about 14 or 15 years ago, Mr. Poston, who is going to be my new boss, came up to me and said, "Hey, do you have any pointers on being an administrator?" So I don't remember what I said to him, but I know I shared some materials with him. So I'm looking forward to working with him. But as Mr. Wigton said, it's definitely bittersweet. So I'm going to give you a snapshot of Tarhee Trails here and try to do my best as I give my last presentation of Tarhee and Tarhee Trails. Tarhee is the place to be, just like Lancaster City Schools, for learning, caring, and succeeding. I'm sticking with that theme. It's worked for us here, and we kind of stick to that district-wide. Our PBIS and our mission, it may be changing soon in the near future, but we've kind of stuck with treat others kindly, empower success, which equates to earn respect as well. Always work for quality, maintain safety, and always work as a team. We've used that for years. Since we've opened the new building, we've tweaked it a little bit here and there, but that's kind of our staple as far as our code of conduct and our mission, as far as our PBIS goes. Briefly, I wanted to share our test scores because I probably won't have a chance to share test scores ever again as a building administrator, at least not anytime in the near future. And our test scores were pretty good. Now, this is last year, but Targhee Trails earned an overall B on our school report card. I think that's something that the teachers and the kids, they all earned that recognition because they did a nice job. And what is really important about some of these components, you can see we have a C for achievement, a B on progress, a B for gap closing, and at the bottom right-hand corner is our improving, there's a grade for improving at-risk readers.
What's that grade? We can't,
I can't, I'm sorry. I want to hide my face. Oh, it's a C. It's a C component grade. Sorry, I had to, I don't need to see me anyway. So when I move forward, this is the slide that we're most proud of. Lancaster City Schools has always taken great pride in measuring ourselves with value-added data, which is progress. And this was probably the best that Targhee Trails has done for quite some time. Fourth grade, now fifth grade, it looks, you see some yellow, orange, and red. However, those are drastic improvements over the past couple of years. And if you look at the overall, green all across the bottom, that means we moved a lot of kids. We helped a lot of kids make a lot of gains. That's basically what that means in a nutshell. But as you know, testing is changing, ODE is changing, and so we may not be sharing reports like this in the future. It may look completely different. About learning, this is our spelling bee. We have an annual spelling bee. This is one of my favorite events each year. And these are our winners. These are our participants. Also with learning, we have a recycling club. We do have an art show, but unfortunately it was canceled this year because of the COVID-19 virus. A week before schools shut down, we were not able to have our art show, but so far the art shows that we've had have been a huge success. Also with learning and caring, we have, well, I have several slides here of, there's a groovy guy on the slide there. Kids just working, kindergarten students, career day. A lot of these were our kindergarten kids, and we have a computer tech program. Support staff. And that's my BFF, that little guy right there. His name is JoJo. And there was a nice young man right there. I think Mr. Wigden may have met him when he was here. His big brother is Marquise. That's Devontae. He's a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And now we'll move into caring. Our student council, we do a great job. We've done an annual coin wars. Yeah, sounds weird to say this, but probably 16, 17 years now I've seen a coin wars. That sounds like a long time. Actually, if I count my time at West Elementary, 18 coin wars. So raising $950 is a big deal, and it shows the kids how important it is to care and to donate money to families, not only families in the community, but families in our own Targhee Trails community. We have several families that we've adopted over the years. Also caring community, we had the big Salvation Fill the Kettle, which I had no idea how big that thing was until they pulled up. It was really interesting. We had kids go right up, and we collected a different amount of money from our coin wars. So we collected twice. We have our DARE program, which is an excellent program. I enjoy that program. I enjoy talking to the kids. Officer Sims does an outstanding job. And I still have to keep my other good friend, the butterfly guy. He still comes, Mr. Ron Rainey, retired principal.
Yeah.
It's it's refreshing to see a retired administrator, retired educator come into the school and teach The kids enjoy having him, the teachers enjoy having him, and he's a fun guy.
Mm-hmm.
Caring community again, we always have tried to submit our fire safety poster contests. And each year seems like for the past 5-10 years, we've had a placeholder. And this year this would be a second grade winner, and she won. Her fire contest winner will be part of the statewide fire marshals calendar.
Great.
Caring community, and this is something that I just tell the kids, and I have help. I have to give her credit, Mrs. Billy Benniger, who is our tech associate. She helps me round up the kids. And this year we had about 100 students participate in the Dirty 30 race, and we raised over $2,000 for our school. And that is an easy amount of, well, it's not easy, but that's a lot of money to be able to raise for technology, just to have the kids come out and ride their bikes, run, and just show up. So that's a great event for Tarhee Trails, and I look for that to continue to be a great success in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Caring community as well. This year I had the opportunity, I believe it's Mr. David Uhl. He's in charge of the Lancaster Rotary. Oh, there's Mrs. Kittredge. Yes.
Yes.
We did something called Purple Pinkies for Polio, and we had all of the kids donate $1. And this was something that Mr. Uhl has started an early Rotary club, and you can see in the middle picture, we have 15, 20 kids who are starting out being in Rotary, which is really a unique program that they have. And when he asked if they could do Pinkies for Polio, I said, absolutely, because it's something that's dear to my heart, which you're probably thinking, why? My grandmother had polio, and she contracted that before there was a virus. So definitely this was near and dear to my heart. So we raised, I think, maybe a couple $100 maybe for the vaccine and to raise awareness. And Mr. Rule can give you all the statistics, and anybody in that Rotary Club probably knows. But polio is almost completely eradicated from our planet. And that was such a great event. And it made a big impact on our kids because it gave them a huge awareness of what polio is. Third grade dictionaries, the annual dictionaries, Kiwanis came to present those, and they still love the dictionaries, even though I'm not sure how often most of us use dictionaries anymore, but they're still good to have. It's a skill that should not be lost. So I'm thankful to the Kiwanis for donating those.
Rotary.
I'm sorry.
It's Rotary.
Rotary. It wasn't.
Yeah, you might want to get that straight because you've got what, 3, 4 Rotary.
5 of us.
Yeah, my apologies. Rotary, not Kiwanis. Same pairing with volunteers. I enjoy having the volunteers come in the building. Who doesn't enjoy having help come into school? But I have a wonderful PTO. It's been nice having the volunteers help. Mrs. Demosthenes, who is our school support counselor, family support. She has a long title, but we put these United Way bags together. They help out. I have 2 retired teachers. I was principal. Mrs. Hemsworth is on the left. Mrs. Bradford is on the right. I was their principal. One was at West, one was at the old Tarhee. And she's not up here, but I also have Mrs. Judy Ogilvy that comes in and volunteers. So it's kind of neat having the retired teachers come. I'd like to take credit, but Mr. Duvall, a first grade teacher, he's the recruiter. He knows them and they come in to help him. So thanks to Mr. Duvall and thanks to those teachers. Caring, again, community, the big brothers and the big sisters in Lancaster High School is awesome. I can't thank the Big Brothers and the Big Sisters program enough because we have had so many come in, and having that program spread to the high school has been just monumental, I guess, because I've have so many kids who could benefit from having a big brother or a big sister. But until we were able to recruit some of the high school kids, we were short. We didn't have enough volunteers. So having the high school kids, and it's really neat to have former students come in. On the picture on the right, dear former student of mine, Mr. Casey Fink. He was a good athlete at Tarhe, just as good as he is now. I think he's going to Penn State to play baseball in the fall, hopefully, or next spring. Carrying goodies with grand friends. This is something we've done every year for quite a few years. Huge, huge success. You don't realize how many grandparents participate in their grandkids' lives until you do an event like this. You may realize it, but when you do an event like this and you realize 2 days is not enough and 3 days is not enough, you really realize it.
Mm.
Carrying, I have the best staff. I've been blessed with having some outstanding teachers over the years. This past year, I want to give credit to Mrs. Robin Cathers, she just got covered up, but she's done a wonderful job as serving as my assistant or my colleague. And Robin, Mrs. Cathers, and I even taught together. So we're old friends. She's been a great help this year. So great staff. Mrs. Carpenter there, she does a great job with keeping everybody on their toes.
Mm.
Caring and learning, this is something also near and dear, true to my heart. And I know I've shared this photo before here, but my grandfather's father-in-laws, even my own father, I think we have every war covered from World War I all the way up to Vietnam. So that's why Veterans Day is near and dear to my heart. And I've always tried to make sure students understand the importance of veterans and Veterans Day. And I'm glad his face is right there, but that gentleman right there, he's friends with a young man who lives in our attendance area, and he came to our Veterans Day assembly. And then I looked at the Eagle Gazette that day. I can't remember his name, and I apologize. He was on the front page of the paper that day, and I thought, what a coincidence to have this veteran attend our Veterans Day assembly. So he actually stayed afterwards and gave our 4th and 5th grade classes a brief presentation about his time in Vietnam and what he did and where he served. And it was very interesting. So real world experiences for sure for our kids. Our caring watchdogs, dads, which dads of great students, we've continued this program at the request of dads. The dads love doing this and they love coming in to volunteer. And you can tell by the kids' smiles, they love dad coming in to volunteer. And I enjoy having an extra set of dad hands around the building. Monitors always. And caring. I hope this works. I'm not sure if it does. I'm going to try to show it's a short video. I had several videos, but Mrs. Benninger and the teachers do a great job of putting videos together. I thought this one was really appropriate right now, especially with our current situation going on all over the world right now with the COVID virus. We had a World Kindness Day back, I think in November, December, where we had everyone wear their favorite cardigan, dressed like Mr. Rogers. Because Mr. Rogers is probably one of the kindest guys who was ever around. I grew up watching, well, this will date me, but I grew up watching The Electric Company, Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street, you name it. I always joked, Morgan Freeman taught me how to read. But The Electric Company. But Mr. Rogers, one thing that Mr. Rogers always said, and this resonates with me even when I was a child, and I think this is very important today, and kids see it on the news, we see it on the news, but Mr. Rogers he said his mother always told him when there's crises taking place, September 11th, the COVID virus, other tragedies, his mother always told him, look for the helpers. Look for the people that are around helping everyone. Right now, we have hundreds of thousands of medical personnel, doctors, nurses, all kinds of essential workers helping everyone. And this kind of goes hand in hand with that. So I'm going to try to play this video and I hope it works.
There's Robin.
Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day of this beauty wood. A neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I've always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you.
So let's make the most of this beautiful day.
Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine?
Could you be mine?
Won't you be my neighbor?
Won't you please?
Please, won't you be my neighbor?
Won't you be my neighbor?
Please won't you be my neighbor?
And that's a good time to end the video.
Yay.
Good job.
Glad it worked.
Very
Okay.
nice. Yes.
Maybe wrap things up here. Succeeding, we've always done a great job with our staff training, Heart Safe Schools since 2014. Susie does a great job with her jump rope for hearts. Succeeding, there's our PBIS. I think most of us, all of our schools, we do a great job of recognizing children for doing positive things. We have champs, citizens of the month, super champions for the grading period. You can see just how happy they are when they get recognized for doing what they're supposed to be doing. And our PBIS award as well. We had the bronze award, but we're going to have to renew that to move on up. We have digital convergence taking place. We have a coding club, tech club. We have a lot of clubs that have a great time with technology. And again, thanks to Mrs. Benninger for organizing all of these. And there's our girls who code. They sit down and they're being taught how to write computer programs. And I am going to end
Come grab you by the wrist, direct you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. Something unpredictable. The end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And that concludes my presentation. I want to thank you all very much for allowing me to serve as the principal at Tarhee and Tarhee Trails. And I appreciate being part of Lancaster City Schools. I hope, Mr. Poston, you take it easy on me. I serve as one of your new teachers. And advice to you new administrators, enjoy it. It's a wonderful job. Just make sure you take time to breathe. Make sure you make time for yourself and for your families.
Thank you, Mr. Poston.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
Thank you. All right. Thanks. Thank you so much, Mr. Knight. Wow. Yeah. We're going to miss you at these meetings and your presentations, but we're very thankful that you're going to still be with us. So, Mr. Campbell, you've got big shoes to fill out there. Mr. Campbell, the principal at Tarhee Trails next year, but certainly has a fantastic staff to work with out there. And, certainly Mr. Campbell is the right guy. Big shoes to fill, but I know he'll be up to the task. So thank you. All righty. So I've got some school closure updates to share, and we've shared most of these out with everybody, as Mrs. Garlinger gave in her legislative report. Schools are closed for the remainder of the year. Secondary students are going to continue their online lessons for the remainder of the school year. Student Chromebooks are only going to be collected from the graduating seniors. Other secondary students will keep their Chromebooks and move on into next year. The elementary learning packets for May, they'll be distributed next Monday and Tuesday. And we have procedures for parents and students to pick up their belongings left in school, left at the schools while maintaining social distancing, and that is being communicated out. Secondaries are communicating that out by building, and we put that out for all the elementaries district-wide yesterday. Summer school will be online, and we're preparing summer school for at-risk students in elementary and in the high school. And we are also preparing a summer school extended learning option for parents and students in grades kindergarten through 8th grade who wish to enhance their education over the summer to help bridge that gap that we've had with being out of school since March. Is for an opportunity for parents and students to make sure they're ready when we come back and open up school next year. We've been working on our graduation plans. We are going to be doing things similar to other schools. As you know, the Ohio Department of Education and the governor has said graduations need to be virtual. So we are working on doing a virtual graduation along with the opportunity for students or seniors to have their diploma handed out to them and a photo taken, and which will be provided by the district. And this is going to be an all-day affair. It's what we're looking at, and we're looking at doing that on the original graduation day. And so I'll give you more information as it rolls out. I think we'll have something ready to go out publicly here this week. We have some really exciting recognitions to pass on from Mount Pleasant Elementary. Congratulations to Shannon Burke and her staff and her students. Student Hayden Rittinger has received the R.A. Horn Outstanding Student Achievement Award from the Ohio Coalition for the Education of Children with Disabilities. Hayden was nominated by school counselor Mallory Tam Phillips. And the Mount Pleasant Behavior Support Team was also selected to receive the Franklin B. Walter Outstanding Educator Award from the Ohio Coalition for the Education of Children with Disabilities. And that team, it consists of Angela Boland, Aaron Pennington, Amber Sykes, Tara Swain, Sarah Shuckies, and Patricia Zaker. So congratulations to Mount Pleasant. Also, Lancaster High School has once again been recognized as one of the best high schools in the United States by the U.S. News and World Report. Yes, congratulations. U.S. News and World Report ranks schools in the country and the state based on student performance indicators. Lancaster High School ranks in the top 26% of high schools in the state of Ohio, and this is all while serving students in a district with over 50% of the students on free and reduced lunch. So that speaks very, very well for Lancaster High and for the entire district. Also, it's always exciting to welcome new administrators into the district, and we have 4 that are on your agenda for their contracts to be voted on today, and they are with us here today. First, we have Brenda Zeiders. Brenda will be moving up to the role of Assistant Director of Student Service. Brenda has been serving as an administrator, being the coordinator and supervisor of our preschool program, and has done a fantastic job with that preschool program. I think we were the first preschool in the county to be 5-star rated. She's done a fantastic job, certainly has earned this position. And she's there if you would like to unmute yourself and say hello or wave or something, Brenda.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Hey, Brenda.
Congratulations. Okay, next we have one that we've talked about. We made a plan to make this move last year, but it's time to make it official. And that's John Spires to become the principal at Gorsuch West Elementary School. As you know, John has been serving under Mr. Burry at the high school as an assistant principal. He also was an assistant principal under Mr. Greathouse before that. And John's original roots were in the elementary. So he is actually, moving back to his original roots and going to be trying to fill those huge shoes. Oh boy.
Shoes.
Up there. So, John, if you'd like to unmute yourself and say hello, if you're out there somewhere, there you are. Or wave.
Yay.
Hey.
Just want to say thank you, and I stand before you with a lot of gratitude with this opportunity. So thank you all very much.
It's nice that both Brenda and John are Lancaster City Schools students who graduated from Lancaster High School. As did Josh Kennard, our next person. He's an assistant principal. He'll become an assistant principal at Lancaster High School. Josh has been a intervention specialist at Lancaster High School for, back when I was principal. Josh.
Back in the dark ages.
Yeah, back in the day. And Josh has been there doing an outstanding job. Josh has also had leadership responsibilities, being the study department there for several years, and certainly has done a great job and has earned this position. So he'll be replacing John Spires out at Lancaster High School's assistant principal. Josh, you want to say hello?
Hello.
Congratulations.
I'm looking forward to this opportunity, guys. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. And Mr. Wigton, that was 2008 when you hired me, by the way.
Thank you. Memory's getting a little fuzzy here. Also, I have to say that, this is the second time the district has hired a former center from Capital University. So we hope that this one works out better than the last one that was hired. So.
Yeah.
Our board administrator on your board agenda tonight is Evan Thomas. Evan will be taking over as assistant principal at Medill Elementary School, replacing Sandy Walker, who's moving on to be the principal at Talmadge, and I want to introduce her in just a minute to you. Evan has been an art teacher in our district, and has actually started out as an art teacher up at Ashland in the elementary school. So he does have elementary experience. So he's kind of moving back to where he began in the elementaries. Evan has been serving this past year as our coordinator of for this student improvement grant at Thomas Ewing, and it's just done nothing but a very impressive job. So he's also been the athletic director at General Sherman previously. So he's had good leadership responsibility, training, and ready to move in. And he also, and he is it was at graduate school at West Virginia University. As you all know, it's a great place to get a graduate student, good old WVU, so go Mountaineers. So welcome, Evan.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Also, thank you to the great state of West Virginia as well. I look forward to this new step in my career, and look forward to the challenges ahead. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Evan.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And I've also asked Sandy Walker to join us. Sandy, we hired her last month when we kind of had a stealth meeting down at and we weren't able to have people with us. So I asked Sandy to join us. Sandy will become the principal at Talmadge Elementary, replacing Jake Campbell. Sandy has been serving as the assistant at Medill, and she's been an assistant in our elementaries since we moved into having assistants way back, even before we moved into the new elementaries. Sandy is a veteran teacher, has done a fantastic job in the classroom, and has followed that up as her role as an assistant principal. So certainly well deserving, and it's my honor to welcome Sandy into the head principalship level. So thanks, Sandy. Well,
thank you. I am so excited about this, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So I look forward to serving Lancaster. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I want to point out that all 5 of these people, they're all, Lancaster City Schools teachers, employees, administrators. And, it's very important for an organization to be able to grow up their own leaders and to provide people with those leadership opportunities and growth experience. And we went through a competitive process, and these are the best people. And it's nice to know that they're homegrown. So thank you. All righty. So with that, I am finished, and I will turn this meeting back to you, President Ricketts.
Okay, we had a lot of good things just happen in your report, and it's like, whoa. All right, we're going to get back to the agenda, and we are okay. I know I've got to pull this around so that I can see what I'm doing. Personnel, and we are doing the administrative. I would need a motion to approve the personnel for the administrative personnel, and in that motion we'll also do a motion to approve the certified personnel items. And I can't click on these things, so I can't read them. I just have a regular copy. And then we have our classified personnel items. May I have a motion to approve items A, B, and C in the personnel part of the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, Ms. Kittredge is moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Nauman, is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, Mrs. Taylor, may we have roll call, please?
Ms. Kittredge?
Yes.
Mr. Nauman?
Yes.
Ms. Iman?
Yes.
Ms. Garlinger?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes, motion carries. Okay, next, moving on to business and finance, we have the monthly financial reports, and the general fund, general monthly financial summary, LCSD investment reports, bank reconciliation, revenue, and check reconciliation. May I have a motion to approve all the items in the business and finance section of the agenda?
So moved.
Mrs. Iman moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Garlinger, thank you. Any discussion on the business and finance items? If not, Mrs. Taylor, may we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Iman?
Yes.
Ms. Garlinger?
Yes.
Ms. Kittredge?
Yes.
Mr. Nauman?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes. Motion carries. Under item C, transfer of funds. I need a motion to approve the transfer of funds.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Iman. May I have a second?
Second.
Is that Mrs. Kittredge?
Wait a minute,
Yes, it is.
Lise, didn't we just approved all the business things?
Okay, I have a paper copy, and Leanne has highlighted everything. So, okay.
We've done all of number 7.
Now we need to approve the curriculum and instruction for the senior early release.
Okay, yeah.
Number 8.
And that's how I recorded it in the minutes.
Okay, yeah, seniors, okay. Yeah, this doesn't, my paper copy doesn't correspond to what we have on the screen. Okay, I need a motion for the senior early release. May I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Mr. Nauman gave the motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Garlinger, any discussion? No discussion. Roll call, Mrs. Taylor.
Mr. Nauman,
Yes.
Ms. Garlinger,
Yes.
Ms. Iman,
Yes.
Ms. Kittredge,
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts.
Yes, motion carries. May I ask if Steve, can you move up on it says easement and right away for, did we do all those?
You did all of those.
Okay. I've got separate pages for everything, so that's why I've fallen backwards on this thing. So,
Yes.
Mrs. Taylor, are we okay on that?
Yes, you had asked for a vote for all of business and finance, and all
Okay,
right.
is covered.
Okay, I'm going to look at the screen instead of my paper copy. Okay, now number 9, we have fundraising activities. We have distance learning implementation. We have memorandum of understanding for the LSSA. We have the Title II officer, the Section 504 compliance officer, and board policies. May I have a motion to approve the other?
So moved.
Okay, Ms.
Second,
Garlinger,
Mrs. Iman.
Mrs. Iman. Any discussion? All right, all those, oh no, Mrs. Taylor. Roll call, please.
Ms. Kittredge, you made the motion, did you not?
I did. I thought. It doesn't
Yes.
matter.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Kittredge,
Yes.
Ms. Iman,
Yes.
Ms. Garlinger,
Yes.
Mr. Nauman,
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, now we are now going to enter into executive session. I'll need a motion to enter into executive session to consider the compensation of a public employee or official. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Mrs. Garlinger moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Nauman, second. Mrs. Taylor, roll call.
Ms. Garlinger,
Yes.
Mr. Nauman,
Yes.
Ms. Iman,
Yes.
Ms. Kittredge,
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts.
Yes, motion carries. The next regular board meeting will be Tuesday, May 26th via Zoom at 4:30 p.m. and we will return to open session after the executive meeting. Motion carried, and we will now go into executive session.